We are excited about your registration for Blickfang and look forward to the successful days we will spend together at the fair. To ensure that your Blickfang is a great success, we have compiled some important tips from 30 years of trade show experience in this concise video course. The whole thing is rounded off with in-depth interviews with your designer colleagues who have been exhibitors for a longer time and who I believe can also give you some very good, very practical tips based on their extensive experience and first-hand insights. First of all, a quick note. We have this really cool and comprehensive trade fair checklist available in the detailed trade fair planning tool. If you work through the preparations diligently and thoroughly, your success at the trade fair will be quite good. I can promise you that. All right, let's get started. We at Blickfang firmly believe in the idea of handcrafted design in creating truly special products that have a bit of their own unique soul and character embedded within them. And yet we often see talented designers who either catch the eye and captivate audiences or fail to make an impact, ultimately not achieving the success they truly deserve despite their hard work. And fundamentally, I truly believe that if you take to heart these valuable tips that we are about to give you, your participation in the upcoming trade fair will be a very smooth, enjoyable, and successful experience. You've probably experienced this situation before. You're at a trade fair or a promotional event, and unfortunately things are moving pretty slowly at your booth. Meanwhile, directly across from you, there's another stand where attendees are enthusiastically lining up, and you can't help but wonder why that particular exhibitor is so incredibly successful while you're not. And I truly believe that a significant part of your success is due to the valuable tips we are sharing with you here. How should you proceed? I think in the first step, it is really important to formulate your own trade fair goals. So what specific goals do you truly aim to accomplish with your active participation in Blickfang? And for me, those are like two different areas. There are specific communicative trade fair goals and of course important financial trade fair goals. And you should have both of these well formulated for yourself, also for the sake of your own employees' clarity and direction, and have them firmly established in the detailed planning for the trade fair. Afterwards, it is essential to check again if you have really achieved these goals, ensuring continuous improvement and success. Because I think that if you don't set communication goals, for example, your communication on site just won't be effective. The customer will also feel this negativity, and without effective communication, the trade fair will ultimately not be a financial success for any participants. Also, really ask yourself in advance, what do I want to achieve? What should the customer primarily know? What should the customer learn from me on site? The customer always wonders, what's in it for me? What do I get out of it? What is my own benefit? And you should really answer this question for yourself. Could you explain what is special about the label and your products? And to what extent do you communicate that on site? Where do I come from? What am I doing? What makes me special? These are specific communication goals that really should be clearly formulated and firmly fixed in advance to ensure effective understanding and alignment. If you are further interested in this topic, specifically in customer communication, just a small note. As part of our comprehensive Blickfang Academy program, we will thoroughly explore and work on exactly these topics to elevate your skills and take you to a new professional level. Exactly. So here, as I mentioned before, questions need to be answered. Do I want to sell? To what extent is it apparent on site if I want to sell? Will I find vendors at the trade fair? Then I should do something about it beforehand. I should research dealers. I should invite dealers myself. Do I even have the documents with me for dealers, for end consumers? At the beginning of each year, we went to the renowned furniture fair in Milan with the entire team and discovered a rather exciting and innovative designer who was somewhat off the beaten path of the fair. I believe she came from Belgium, found their product really great and said, hey, this is totally awesome. We know the magazine well. That's exactly where you belong. This designer once brought us a set of documents that were not at all adequately prepared for handling dealer inquiries. I wonder why she chose to exhibit in Milan then. In my opinion, all the money she invested in this fair, and I don't think it was a small amount by any means, was ultimately wasted because she hadn't really considered or articulated these essential questions beforehand. First, consider what specific communication goals you have for the upcoming trade fair and how these objectives should be clearly evident on site through your displays and interactions. Then you should definitely have a card terminal with you if you want to sell your products, a comprehensive price list, and possibly make sure the products are clearly labeled. We'll get to that in a moment. Here is another lovely piece of feedback from jewelry designer Felix Doll from Zurich, explaining how he defines his trade show goals.
I set clear, achievable trade fair goals for myself and my company. Therefore, there is simply the financial aspect, such as profit or revenue increases from the last trade shows I attended. And of course, there's also the important goal of attracting many new customers and visitors through targeted advertising, sustained effort, and strategic marketing, as well as engaging with and meeting existing customers. In the financial area, it is of course quite clear. The booth rental, travel expenses, wages, advertising costs, and all other expenses that the entire package for the trade show weekend must include need to be covered. That's always been my primary goal. I always hope to achieve that on the first day of the trade fair, and then I also hope to take in at least double the expenses incurred. If I have experience from participating in the trade fair in the previous year, I try to achieve an additional 10% increase in revenue. Regarding the advertising that is to customers, my lovers of my jewelry, I hope that through the invitation and through all my newsletters, I can see as many customers as possible again and have conversations with them so they can express their wishes, their criticism, or somehow express their desires. Simply put, I need them to provide me with detailed feedback on the jewelry so I can make necessary improvements in terms of quality for all existing pieces. I truly hope that I can see a large number of people visiting my booth, trying on various pieces of jewelry, getting genuinely excited about them, and then either making a decision to purchase a piece right there on the spot or taking a flyer with them to share with their families. This way, they can either receive it as a gift later or declare themselves loyal fans of Felix Doll Schmuck at a later time. And that is indeed an effort, but of course it is an economic decision to attend a trade fair, and I hope, and it has always gone very well for me so far, thanks to the great fairs. And as I said, I have already been to a Blickfang fair 25 times. I don't know exactly, but it has definitely been several years I have attended many fairs. I am also very excited after all this time, the last 16 months, to finally go to a trade fair again and simply see the joy and enthusiasm there. Because having a truly great goal is also a significant source of joy and fulfillment. This matter is both emotional and personal, but it is also a goal in itself.
Once you have clearly clarified your goals, the next logical step should be to tackle and meticulously plan your presentation at the upcoming trade fair. So let's move on to the second point. How do I effectively plan my on-site presentation? Always remember, your booth design also reflects the quality and craftsmanship of your products and the professionalism of your company. Imagine a 5-star luxury hotel presenting itself at a prestigious trade fair with a wobbly display, a crookedly attached logo, and other unprofessional elements. That simply would not meet the standards of a 5-star hotel. Or another image in that context. Imagine the trade fair as a bustling pedestrian zone, and your booth is somewhat like an inviting shop window. Only an appealing, well-designed shop window will entice the customer to actually enter your store, to come to your booth and see what you have to offer. And here I also find it important to really consider that you are presenting high-quality products. Are your presentation modules perceived as high quality at first glance and upon review? Stay attentive.
Of course, we originally have a detailed booth concept layout complete with a professional drawing. We also rent high-quality furniture there because I am convinced that, yes, if you want to sell a product, it's about evoking emotions, and that, yes, a beautiful vase, fresh flowers, everything being very valuable is also very clear to us. We have a visual brand. We have colors that uniquely define us. They should be shown. It means I also have to meticulously build the interior with high quality, even in areas where it's not initially about decorative elements. And for that, we have Party Rent by our side. They deliver it now as well. We initially did that differently too. We'll save ourselves the trouble and just spend a little bit of money instead. We have a carpet, which I find incredibly important for comfort. It actually comes from an experienced exhibition builder because it offers us the unique opportunity to truly define ourselves. Here we are. Here is the island. Here you can feel completely comfortable and it doesn't ever get lost in the long hallway. It's all about light. We will also purchase that through your exhibition builder. Then just above this suspension. Yes, We always have fresh flowers at the stand, a high quality vase, and of course the question also arose about whether we should use a logo, because as I mentioned at the beginning, if our goal at the trade fair is to communicate and convey an image, it is naturally important that the customer who hopefully enjoyed their time at our stand remembers and says, yes, okay, up there it said feasible and beautiful. Additionally, on the topic of emotion, conveying a good feeling is important because the customer buys a feeling. We always have at least one large image that expresses us in person, jewelry, layering, engraving, and gold tone. So that is my vision, because we are launching soon, just shortly before something truly great happens, fulfilling a dream I've had for 14 long years. This concept is also illustrated very precisely in this particular picture.
You'll receive the view flag of the following items were offered by the exhibition stand builder we commissioned. On the one hand, we provide the partition walls if you don't have your own partition wall system. More on that later. You also have the option to use colored partitions. You can have the walls expertly colored by the exhibition builder in the specific colors you desire for the display. Then there are carpets to rent, signage, which in my opinion is an absolute must. And in the field of fashion design, really the topic of fitting rooms. Always offer your customers the opportunity to try on your latest fashion creations right at your dedicated space as a fashion designer, so they don't have to go out of their way to visit the central fitting room, making their shopping experience more convenient and personalized. We are sometimes asked why we use display panels at Blickfang instead of keeping everything open. I think these partition walls simply give you, as a designer, the unique opportunity to stage yourself creatively within the versatile space that is elegantly framed by our customizable partition walls. That would not be possible with a completely open presentation, and thus it creates a calm and inviting overall impression on one hand, while on the other hand you have the unique opportunity to present yourself confidently on the stage. The display panels are, unless you have your own custom panel system, 2.20 meters high, 1 meter wide, and 2.6 centimeters deep. They are white cardboard walls constructed from reinforced cardboard, entirely white, and possess a very neutral and aesthetically pleasing appearance. You may hang various items on these partition walls by using clips, very fine nails, and even staples for additional support and stability. You may attach things, but you are not allowed to drill or nail into the walls. That's not possible. Our partition walls also come with an integrated lighting package. You can easily find out exactly how many lights you need for your booth size using the online planning tool. Please ensure that if you use your own partition system for construction, you only work with high-quality, fire-resistant products for safety. It is generally important that for all decorative materials, not the products you are showcasing, but the items used as decoration, you use flame retardant products that meet the so-called B1 standard. In that case, the topic of carpets is important, at least for all the large booths, which is usually the case with furniture designers. We really recommend having your own carpet. It creates its own defined space and clear boundary for your booth, ensuring that it doesn't spill outwards or encroach on neighboring areas. Heike Lessing will later advocate passionately for using a decorative carpet as a jewelry designer with a relatively small but charming booth. But the larger the display stand, the more important it becomes that it meets this specific demarcation for optimal presentation. The carpet must also be flame retardant. That's why the tip is to also get this through our exhibition builder. Then you come to the fair and the carpet is already there. Labeling remains crucially important. I keep seeing designers repeatedly fail to properly label their own display stands at exhibitions. That doesn't make any sense to me. You will have communication goals. The customer should remember you. How can he remember you if he can't find your name on the entire bulletin board? You will never walk through a bustling pedestrian zone where not a single store is clearly labeled. So clearly label your booth with your logo and your own company name for easy recognition. Significant matter. The next point I want to briefly address is the topic of price labeling. Ultimately, you probably want to sell at the Blickfang. That's why I personally think that awarding the products with competitive prices and recognition is the right way to go, and I would highly recommend it to others. However, there are also designers who deliberately and consciously choose a different, more unconventional path in their creative process. You will also gain some inspiration from the video sequence featuring two jewelry designers who each employ completely opposite techniques. But give it some thought. Price labeling, yes, no? Of course, you should at the very least have a detailed price list with you to be able to answer any potential questions right away.
At my booth, I offer a wide range of rings, bracelets, and earrings in 4 different materials. And I started by not placing the prices directly next to the individual jewelry pieces, but instead, in my case, my team and I have an overview document where all the prices are clearly marked and organized for us. This approach helps us maintaining all necessary information easily accessible. We know exactly what it costs, at least we know roughly what it costs, we know exactly through the price overview. The jewelry is reduced in price, so the table is very full. If I also had prizes, it would be easy for me, but aesthetically it doesn't suit me. I also simply want the visitors there to feel completely comfortable, to try on the jewelry pieces, to make the physicality of my jewelry their own in some meaningful way, to experiment freely, to be playful without immediately seeing the price tags and then perhaps feeling attracted or not attracted by the price and missing out on the joyful and playful experience.
Tips for planning your trade show booth. Clearly mark out the base area of your booth in the studio to really get a better sense of its actual size and spatial requirements. Because there's really nothing worse than when the booth is so crowded with people that I have to fight my way through, and as a customer looking to browse, I just don't feel like going in at all. Furthermore, set aside a dedicated corner for your personal belongings, such as wallets, jackets, and other items, so you won't end up with the Kuschelecke, as the Swabians would say. Another crucial aspect of a successful trade fair participation and for your business in general is the topic of customer invitations. There will be a separate detailed video on this topic shortly, so I just wanted to mention it briefly here for your awareness. Here are a few additional tips from me on the topic of on-site organization. I wouldn't sit down at my allocated booth. Always stand, because as soon as you sit, it creates a distance from your visitor, and the visitor doesn't really feel like communicating with you. I think it's very important not to eat at the booth. Make sure that you have multiple people at the booth so everyone can take turns for breaks, but definitely do not eat at the booth to maintain a professional appearance. If there are several employees at the booth, I think it's also important, just a little tip, to have one of your employees go in front of the booth and act like an interested customer. This can help draw in real attendees and create a more engaging atmosphere. This will always result in the customer seeing and the visitor noticing that there are other visitors at the booth, which prompts them to decide to go there too. Humans are fundamentally herd animals, and as soon as one employee takes on the role of a visitor, they will instinctively attract more visitors, creating a chain reaction of interest and participation. Things are as they are. It's better when I'm standing at the booth with my colleague chatting. This causes separation. There will soon be an informative short video by Felix Dahl on the important topic of trade show preparation, specifically focusing on travel logistics and booth setup. I wish you a lot of fun with it, and then afterward, we'll move right on to the second video that covers the super important and crucial topic of customer management.
I always make sure to arrive a full day early for my trade shows. This setup day before the trade fair is crucial to me, although many things could still go wrong. I often expect things to be quick, but they always take longer. At trade fairs, there might be something not ready. You should clarify this with the team, and you typically have time to address it. It always takes me longer. I always say it will be much faster, but it always takes much longer because you just adjust or perfect, optimize things, and it's just much better to know that everything is ready on the first day of the fair. If anything else is needed, it can be arranged overnight. For me, it's really like this. I usually arrive on Thursday, set up in the afternoon, have 3 days of the fair from Friday to Sunday, and then travel back with my team. On Sunday after the teardown, we will travel back together. My team and I am always on site, always present, except when it's absolutely impossible, but that has only happened once so far. I am always there from morning till evening. I love trade shows and customer interaction, and I usually have 1 or 2 close friends with me who share the same values and principles that my brand represents. This is incredibly important to me because I have built a brand that encompasses a multitude of valuable principles, such as a deep love for innovative design, exceptional craftsmanship, and unwavering customer friendliness. That must be given. And they are coming with me. Sometimes they help with the setup, other times I do it alone. And then we have a wonderful time at the fair for 3 whole days and usually travel back home feeling very happy